On BBC Radio 4, Nathan Osgood reads the first part of Sam Shepard's book, The Rolling Thunder Logbook, which records Bob Dylan's secret 1975 tour of the northeast of America.
Rolling Thunder Logbook by Sam Shepard. This book has taken on such a fractured form, not for the sake of art or experimentation, but rather because the form is a direct outcome of a fractured memory. I was originally hired as a writer to work on a proposed film with the Rolling Thunder Revue, but that role very quickly dissolved into the background and was replaced by a much more valuable situation. I found myself in the midst of all these traveling people as a collaborator in a whirlpool of images and shifting ideas, all of us working together for the same purpose, to try to live in constant movement on the road for 6 weeks, traveling by land, putting on music in small New England towns in the dead of winter. The purpose of this book isn't to reveal a plodding blow-by-blow account of these sequence of events, or to play peekaboo with the private lives of the stars, but just to give the reader a taste of the whole experience. If that happens, the book is alive. Part 1. California. Johnny Dark is behind the wheel. The white Chevy Nova is rolling down through San Anselmo, lazy, spoiled brat of a California town. It's hard to see Dylan ever hitting what he once was back in the 60s, pipes up Johnny out of nowhere. I mean, I guess it's not in the cards or something. I'm daydreaming on the 3-year lease we've just landed on a 20-acre horse ranch and thinking about all the work that's left to do before we can move in. We've got less than a week left to get it all done, and the idea of Dylan seems like a distant ghost. It's a long way back to the mid-60s and dancing naked to How Does It Feel in the bedroom of an older woman. We pull up in the suburbs, temporary digs. Inside on a pine table is a green note. Dylan called. We'll call back later. I'm standing there staring at it. Dylan called? I can't put it together. Something won't compute. We were just talking about him, shouts Johnny over a stream of piss from the bathroom. Dylan called here? Why would Dylan call here? I don't even know him. I'm weaving sideways through the kitchen, repeating the note out loud. My eyes finally fall on an LA phone number at the bottom of the note. I return the call, but no Dylan. Instead, I get an entangled series of secretaries, lawyers, business managers, each one with a guarded approach. Oh, well, just a minute. I'll see if I can find somebody. The phone goes blank and then a new voice, a man voice, then blank again, then a woman voice, then back to a man. Yes, Mr. Shepard, let me explain. Bob is going on a secret tour in the Northeast. He's calling it Rolling Thunder, the Rolling Thunder Revue. There's something about the way this chump is calling Dylan Bob that immediately pisses me off. Well, what's he want me for? I've got a green note here that says he called. Yes, you see, he's doing a movie of the tour and he wants a writer. Ah, writer, that's me. Okay, what's the scoop? In my best Chicago reporter style. Then comes a long vagueness about a projected film with me somehow providing dialogue on the spot for all the heavies. It's going to be a high-pressure situation. You're used to working under pressure, aren't you? Oh, yeah, sure. I don't scare easy, if that's what you mean. Good. When can you leave? That's how it works, right? Dylan calls you and you drop everything, like the lure of the sirens or something. Half an hour ago, everything was cool. I was inside my life, and now it's like a hurricane has struck my intestines. Up in Midtown, nighttime. We're walking through glass doors, past security guards who don't look like security guards, more like college football fraternity types, into looming cavernous freight elevators with 100 buttons, down into basements, through padded corridors, then suddenly wall-to-wall yellow carpeting and a black iron gate with one of those black box electric buzzers on it. We're let into it, gate closing behind us with electric click, through double-paneled soundproof door, strong, sweet smell of Indian incense. Allen Ginsberg making notes in a blue notebook, looking like Merlin the magician. People crawling around with coffee in one hand, bowl of fruit on table, a full band working out on stage. I sit and watch from the door level. I'm feeling like this is it, but I don't know what it is yet. Someone asks if I want to meet Dylan, so I follow. Out into the halls again, past dark Coke machines, into a back room, and there he is, lying horizontally across a metal folding chair like he's practicing a levitation trick. Both ragged cowboy boots propped up on a metal desk. He's blue. That's the first thing that strikes me. He's all blue from the eyes cleared down through his clothes. First thing he says to me, "We don't have to make any connections." At first, I'm not sure if he's talking about us personally or the movie. None of this has to connect. In fact, it's better if it doesn't connect. I start nodding agreement as though I'm too cool not to understand, sliding in something half-baked about surrealism. I stare at him. He stares back. I realize in a swift flash the unfairness of the situation. He's known through his photographs to anyone who meets him, but faced with him in the flesh, I have a hard time shaking loose of the photographs and just seeing him. All I'm seeing are album covers for about 6 minutes straight. Then slowly he comes into focus. He sips coffee and tips his gray gaucho hat forward on his head. "Did you ever see Children of Paradise?" he says. I admit I have, but a long time ago. I saw it with a girl who cried all the way through, so it's hard to relate my exact impressions. How about Shoot the Piano Player? Yeah, I saw that one too. Is that the kind of movie you want to make? Something like that. He turns away and nods his foot. This is the first time I get a real taste of his gift for silence, of feeling no need to fill in the gaps, of leaving words just hanging in the air so that you hear them played back to you in your head. Is blasted out of his mind in trying to reconstruct the entire plot of the film Hard Times to Dylan, who seems on the verge of taking a swan dive off a balcony on an 8th Street apartment. The apartment is one of those suave, party-oriented jobs, with blonde people draped all over the furniture. David Blue is handing out animal tranquilizers indiscriminately. In his double-breasted pinstripe gangster suit, Dylan is cranked up on some kind of funny chemical and keeps tapping his entire body to an inside rhythm. His eyes snake around the room trying to find an opening. He's cornered by a 16mm lens, a boom mic, a short girl who keeps referring to marriage, and various acoustic guitar pickers in the background, pretending he's out of earshot. Below, another scene is being set up for the film involving T-Bone Burnett disguised as a professional golfer, complete with golf bag and cap. The place is exploding with crazies. Outside, Ginsberg is yelling from the pavement 1 story below that he's ready for us to film him reading one of his poems. No one seems to hear. The film crew is raining sweat under the hot lights as more and more people cram into the space. Every once in a while, somebody's girlfriend catches a glimpse of Dylan and tries to get her boyfriend to look up at the top of the stairs. He's crouched like a bat in black leather jacket and chewing on Red Man tobacco. He hands a chew to one of the girls beside him, who feels obliged to bite into it. She spits the whole thing over the balcony. It just misses the Tom Collins of somebody who doesn't seem to notice. The electric fire in the fireplace is being lit for the background motif. T-Bone is lining up a putt on the Persian carpet. We haven't even... Our camera crew is making time on the New England Thruway in a cracker box Renovan, the kind with the steering wheel set forward from the front axle so you get the feeling you're driving a diving board. The van's packed to the gills with film equipment. We're all playing leapfrog over one another and establishing little burrows for ourselves, testing how the spine fits into different recesses in the packing. Connecticut sliding by to the sound of Randy Newman on tape cassette.
Baby, take off your dress.
A-unit camera crew, don't ask me how they came to decide who was A and who was B, is the first to arrive in Falmouth, with Dylan hot on its heels. Dylan careens into the parking lot and approaches the camera crew. Did you get any rivers? We're gonna need lots of rivers and trains. Did you get any trains? The Seacrest Hotel, Falmouth, Massachusetts. Hundreds of over-the-top Jewish ladies are firmly entrenched in the hotel before we arrive. They are hell-bent on a strange Chinese form of dominoes called mahjong. The fact that superstars are sharing the turf with them is only a side titillation to the ladies. They are obsessed by the game. So imagine their surprise when, late one evening, in the midst of tournament fever, the manager of the hotel announces that there is to be a special poetry reading by one of America's foremost poets, Mr. Allen Ginsberg. A warm round of fatty applause. He, too, is of the same faith, after all. Allen approaches the podium, brown suit, papers in hand, looking for all the world like a latter-day Whitman, with black trimmings instead of gray. He mounts a tall stool and hunches into the microphone. The ladies smile charitably, and Allen begins his piece. His long, terrifying, painful prayer to his mother. These are mothers, too, but the needle's too close to the vein. The mothers go from patient acquiescence to giggled embarrassment to downright disgust as Allen keeps rolling away at them. His low, rumbling, sustained vowel sounds becoming more and more dirge-like and persistent. Dylan sits in the background, back against the wall, hat down over his eyes, listening stilly. Since I was raised a Protestant, there's something in the air here that I can't quite touch, but it feels close to being volcanic, something of generations, of mothers, of being Jewish, of being raised Jewish, of Kaddish, of prayer, of America even, of poets and language, and least of all Dylan, who created in himself a character somehow outside the religion he was born into, who made a vagabond minstrel into his own skin and now sits facing his very own beginnings, his heritage, and Ginsberg embracing those beginnings so far as to go right through and out the other side into a strange mixture of Eastern mysticism, Hell's Angel meditation, acid, politics, and the music of words. Joan Baez is introduced and gets a relieved welcome. Then comes the blockbuster. Dylan moves up on the platform to the rickety old upright piano used for years for the sole purpose of producing middle-class pablum, big band sounds of the 30s and 40s. He sits, stabs his bony fingers into the ivory, and begins a pounding version of Simple Twist of Fate. Here is where it's at, the master arsonist.
They sat together in the park.
The place is smoking within 5 minutes. The ladies are jumping and twitching deep within their corsets. The whole piano is shaking and seems on the verge of jumping right off the wooden platform. Dylan's cowboy heel is driving a hole through the floor. Roger McGuinn appears with guitar. The whole band joins into it until every molecule of air in the place is bursting. This is Dylan's true magic. He's infused the room with a high feeling of life-giving excitement. It's not the kind of energy that drives people off the deep end, but the kind that brings courage and hope and, above all, brings life pounding into the foreground. If he can do it here, in the dead of winter, at an off-season seaside resort full of menopause, then it's no wonder he can rock the nation.
And tomorrow night, at the same time, the Rolling Thunder Logbook continues, and in part 2, the proposed film of the tour deteriorates further into farce. The band spend an evening with an 80-year-old gypsy known as Mama, and Joan Baez engages in a very public and personal row with Bob Dylan. Rolling Thunder Logbook was abridged by Peter Everett, read by Nathan Osgood, and produced in Bristol by Mark Jobst.